Okay, good. We're ready.
Sounds good. We'll call the meeting to order of December 3rd, 2020 at 9 a.m. Our review meeting pursuant to Section 7E of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, the November 13th, 2020 gubernatorial disaster proclamation and the written determination of the Zoning Board Appeals Chair. The public meeting can be held in audio and video conference without a physical quorum. Due to public health concerns, this meeting is being conducted via audio-video conference. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed at lakecountyil.gov/watch ZBA to allow members of the public the ability to watch the meeting. In-person attendance has also been made available to the public at Lake County Permit Facility, 500 West Winchester Road, Libertyville, and is limited to the number of persons practicable in keeping with social distancing requirements. As a reminder to the board, if you're able to share your video, please ensure your camera is on when you're speaking and when voting. If you wish to speak, please raise your virtual hand. If we're calling on you on the phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. After your name has been called to speak, allow for a short delay to be unmuted. If board members as well as members of the public and county staff could please keep themselves muted for the duration of the meeting unless speaking, it'll help prevent any undue interruption to the meeting. Please note, select items may be presented via screen share during the course of the meeting. At this time, we'll have a roll call. I think, Brad, are you on there?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Member Hockney,
Present.
Member Peterson,
Here.
Member Raymond,
Here.
Member Reindl,
Here.
Member Roche,
Here.
Member Starkey,
Here.
and Chair Kaplan.
Here.
Full board of 7 members present.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brad. We will dispense with the pledge. No items to be added today, no deferred matters from staff, and no other business that I'm aware of. We'll go over upcoming meetings at the end of the meeting. We are here today to review case 20-1691. The Lake County ZBA needs to review the decision of the November 10th hearing on CPA applications 584-2020 and establish some additional findings of fact. And if you want to go over that, Krista, just a little bit to let us know just what we need to do, and then we'll get into a little more detail.
Sure. So as you're aware, there's a number of criteria that a conditional use permit is required to meet. And so just it was part of the discussion that the board had before the vote on November 10th. But we just want to make it very clear for the record what the exact findings are. So we can, depending on how you want to do it, we can go through each criteria one by one. I can list them off, and you can, state what the findings are, or however you want to do it.
I think that works. And if I remember right, Member Hockney had a pretty extensive motion that incorporated some of that, and we'll probably want to incorporate that again too, just to make sure that's part of the record as we go forward. So if it's okay with the rest of the board, I'll let Krista go ahead and kind of go through those standards. I've got some comments on here that we can include that hopefully satisfy that. So if that works for everybody, Krista, if you just want to go through them. And if are there any questions from the board members of staff before we let Krista start? That sounds good. Seeing none, we'll let you begin.
Okay, so the first condition is the use in its proposed location will be consistent with the stated purpose and intent of section 151.005 of the county code.
Sounds good. And I'll chime in, I guess, if we referred to Exhibit A that was originally presented, and that's staff comment, there were some comments in there that confirm the site plan and the terms and conditions were part of the conditional use permit. It also conformed with the standards set forth in the application. As part of that, I think also the flight times were highlighted in there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. As well as a condition Monday through Fridays and not to exceed 24 per week. And I believe we added on there, if I'm not mistaken, that there would be a reporting back from AbbVie to the county on number of takeoffs and landings that would satisfy that as well. And that they include a flight path pattern, it describes in Exhibit 1 as well, for their noise and quality report from Mead and Hunt. And the general lighting, I believe, too, was also referenced in there. They'll be installed up to our standards in Lake County code and shield any glare spill over to any residential areas or any abutting right-of-ways there. So if that seems to precise, kind of encapsulate that one for Exhibit A. If there's anything else other board members want to interject on that.
Okay. I will move on to the second standard, which is the proposed use in its proposed location complies with all applicable standards of this ordinance, including any applicable use standards of section 151.112 of the Lake County Code.
Any other board members want to jump in, feel free, but I'm kind of going through the list just to make sure we include what staff had put in their recommendation before. I think as we indicated during the testimony and the hearing, the property is allowed within the LI zoning district with approved CUP, I'm sorry, and the proposed request will comply with all applicable codes set forth in that. I think that'll suffice to cover that one.
Okay. So then the third standard, which actually has a list of 6 substandards, if you will. So I'll read off the standard overall and then each specific point. So the proposed use in its proposed location will not have a substantial adverse impact on any of the following, either as they exist at the time of the application or as they may be developed in the future due to implementation of the regional framework plan. So the first one of 6 is that it's compatible, will not have substantial adverse impact on adjacent property.
And I think, and feel free to jump in again, anybody else, that based on the ag use that was around there, it envisioned that to kind of was in comprehension with the comprehensive plans of the other municipalities as well, and it wouldn't have an impact based on the fire station there. The parcels are vacant, being the ag fields surrounding it, and then the corporate campus that's owned by Abbott and AbbVie next door, that it would not have an adverse impact and would be compatible at the present time with the current zoning uses.
Okay. The second point under standard 3 is no adverse impact to the character of the neighborhood.
I think there was reference made during the hearing that it's adjacent to the railroad on one side. We've got the 94 travel corridor that has heavy use alongside that as well. Fire station, the corporate campus, and other transportation corridors and open space. So there's no residential around there, no other businesses, no commercial around there. So it seems to fit within that.
Okay.
And I'm just for the members, I'm just gonna read these off just so we've got them, and that at any time, if you want to discuss or add to them, feel free. I think, Krista, if that's okay, if there's anything else the members want to pop in there at the end.
Okay.
Or during.
So the third one is for natural resources.
I think we discussed at the meeting there, based on their comments and the research they had from their experts, that there was limited floodplain and wetlands in that area. It was a fairly dry piece with no issues there. They were going to also leave a substantial portion of it still preserved for open space and agriculture. And the amount of traffic that they had discussed being minimal coming from their facility over there when folks had to use the heliport would not have a big drain on the natural resources or affect the natural resources in the area.
Okay. The fourth was no adverse impact on infrastructure. Which refers to like utilities, roads, things like that.
Yeah, the traffic on that road, I think they indicated, was pretty low volume as it was. I believe if there's public water available at the site from Lake County Public Works, so the infrastructure was there as well. I believe they'd have 2 private on-site water treatment systems as well. and both sanitary and special waste would be taken care of there. I believe one of the board members asked about that, how they would handle any oil or anything like that that may come off the property. So therefore, it wouldn't have an adverse impact on the infrastructure in the area.
Okay, the fifth one was public sites.
I think as stated before, there's no public sites close to it at all. The closest would be AbbVie's campus, which is a private, and I guess the fire station, and they were in agreement that they supported the project.
Okay, and then the last standard of 3 was any other measures affecting the public health, safety, or general welfare.
I think they stated in their testimony that they would be in compliance with all FAA regulations and reporting that they had to do. The close proximity again to 94 and the flight corridors that are already used there. I think they said there were 3 or 4 flight paths that were already being used in that area. And again, the minimal impact due to the vacant land and open space will minimize the risk of any accident in that flight path if something would happen at any time. And, therefore, I think the board heard and the testimony concluded that they would have very limited, if no impact on the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents in that area. If that covers that, I think, Denny, if you wouldn't mind, just for the record, to kind of incorporating your motion, your comments that you made in that motion, as well, just to make sure staff is comfortable with those and the state's attorney is comfortable with those.
To restate the motion?
If you wouldn't mind, I think that might be good, just to make sure we've got everything in there, and then if there's anything else anybody wants to add.
And I would say restate the motion based on the findings that were stated today.
Previously. So I guess we would ask that, Denny, you're going to make that motion again to incorporate the new findings as well as the motion that you had presented, just to make sure we've got everything covered in there.
So you want the motion to read that to incorporate the findings stated today?
Correct. That would be good. And then what you motioned as well, if you still have that, or if...
Yeah, I have it. So I move that the findings discussed today in our meeting on December 3rd be incorporated. And I move that the request of the development of the heliport presented in case CUP number 000584-2020 be approved with the following conditions. 1, prior to any permit issued by staff, the applicants shall demonstrate compliance with all applicable state and federal requirements. 2, the development of the site shall conform to approved site plans and terms and conditions set forth as part of the conditional use permit. 3, the private use of the heliport shall conform to the operational standards set forth in the application associated with CUP 000-584-2020, including but not limited to flight operations are limited to occur from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, with a total number of operations, takeoffs, and landings not to exceed 24 per week. Emergency service operations exempted. The flight path shall be limited to those described in Exhibit 1, AbbVie Aviation Heliport Noise and Air Quality Report, prepared by Mead and Hunt Incorporated on October 30th, 2019, unless weather conditions prohibit your predetermined path based on pilot judgment. 4, general lighting of the subject property shall be installed and maintained in accordance with the standards of section 151.168 of the Lake County Code, and all luminaries shall be sheltered to prevent light and glare spillover to any residential property and abutting the rights of way. 5, AbbVie shall submit quarterly reports as to the number of operations.
It's good. Thanks, Denny. Any questions of any board members based on the new conditions that we added there and Denny's comments before we ask for a second on that vote? Actually, let me get a second on that motion first before we open it up for any discussion, if there is a second.
Second.
Thank you, Linda. Now, any comments or discussions or questions of either staff or the motion maker?
A question.
Yep.
So I'm just wondering why AbbVie isn't present at this.
They are watching this morning. So I discussed this review meeting with the applicants yesterday. Typically, because there's no new, this is just a review to clarify the findings. There's no new testimony. All that was the hearing and the evidence and testimony considerations was all completed on the 10th. So, you know, if certainly they are aware of what's going on this morning and they are watching. It's just there's, unless you have a specific question, we can get them on. But okay, that was
No,
fine.
I was just curious if
Yeah.
the other parties were present. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions of any board members before we call for roll call vote? See none, Brad, I'll turn it back to you for roll call.
Member Hockney,
Aye.
Member Starkey,
Aye.
Member Peterson,
Aye.
Member Raymond,
Aye.
Member Reindl.
Aye.
Member Roche
Aye.
and Chair Cappan.
Aye.
Those findings are established 7-0.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you. And just for clarification for some of the new board members, from time to time, we do have this happen where we will include a motion, but sometimes we don't incorporate enough of the findings to kind of solidify what our role is. So there'll be times, that's what we have the review meetings. Typically, we'll come back to these. And as staff said, since testimony was closed, we weren't opening up testimony again. It wasn't changing the essence of the vote. It was just clarifying for the record for staff to follow in the future and to look back to make sure that everything was incorporated in there. So that'll happen from time to time, especially in some of the bigger cases where there's a little more findings of fact that we include in there. So nothing new there, but just wanted to again clarify to some of the newer board members that will happen from time to time. Any staff updates? I know we have a meeting December 10th. Brad, any updates on anything else that we've got going on?
No, just for the 10th, as I put it in the body of the email a couple of days ago, the first two cases are major variances for the entire board, and the last one's a minor variance, and per ordinance, it's only heard by the chair. So don't go to those sites unless you're bored.
Sounds good. Any comments from any board members or any other staff have any comments?
No, the only thing is, so now that we, after the conclusion of the meeting this morning, I will be incorporating the findings stated today into the written resolution and getting that hopefully completed in very short order today. So what I would like to do is actually collect your signatures on the resolution. And I know we have a few other resolutions too that we need to get completed. So either today, this afternoon, or tomorrow, I'll reach out to the board members and get your availability. I'm willing to either come to you or if you were able to stop by the central permit facility, whichever is preferred. But I'll reach out to you individually and make those arrangements.
Sounds good. Thanks, Krista. Appreciate that. And then if you do drive there, feel free to put that mileage down in your per diem too, if you have to as well. That's fine. And then I think I had one more other thing I was going to mention. And then just as we mentioned last meeting, due to state statute and the rules now with video conferencing, we'll have a roll call for every vote, including motions, closing testimony, adjourning, just so we've got everybody on record. So it's not just a jumbled up conglomerate of all of us saying something. So we'll do that. It'll take it a little longer, but there's only 7 of us, so it should go fairly quick, and Brad does a good job with that. Any comments from any board members? Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. How's January looking? Does anybody know any?
We haven't heard yet. I imagine based on the past, you guys have been pretty busy for the past couple of months. So I anticipate that will, continue. We might have a little bit of a lag because of the holiday, but we'll certainly keep you posted when we get those applications coming in to let you know. So Brad, I know you're working on getting the 2021 schedule finalized. So once he has those meeting dates, he'll get that calendar out to you guys.
Great. And I think we talked about maybe in February, or hopefully we get back together, try and have the state's attorney come in to sit down with new board members to review kind of how we did the findings of fact and some of the things that we need to make sure we incorporate too. So that training coming soon.
Yeah, we do. I think we do have a date set for that. So once we release that 2021 calendar, that will be one of those dates on there. So yeah.
Great. Sounds good. Well, if there's nothing else from staff or board, a motion would be in order for adjournment.
So move.
First from Marv, second from member Peterson. Any discussion? Roll call, Brad.
Member Raymond,
Aye.
member Peterson,
Hi.
member Hockney,
Aye.
member Rindle,
Aye.
member Roche,
Aye.
member Starkey,
Aye.
Chair Captain.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.